Have you ever felt like you're living the same day over and over again, trapped in a cycle you can't seem to break? It's that quiet, gnawing feeling in the background of your life. The same challenges appear with different faces. The same relationships teach the same painful lesson, and that same sense of being lost returns, no matter what you change on the surface. This isn't just a bad week or a string of coincidences. It's a deeper echo, a pattern woven into the very fabric of your existence. You feel it because a part of you remembers something ancient, a truth that has been intentionally forgotten by the world, but not by your soul. Today, we're not going to talk about goals or five-step plans for success. We are going to journey into what the old traditions called the forbidden doctrine of time loops. This isn't science fiction. It is a forgotten spiritual teaching about the echoes of a first civilization, a people who understood the cyclical nature of reality and how a soul can become caught within its repeating patterns. You will begin to understand why these loops exist and how they connect to a memory that lives deep inside of you. If this feeling is familiar to you, write a simple "I feel it" in the comments below. This space is for the conversations we can no longer have out in the open, a place to explore the quiet truths we often feel so alone with. Subscribe to join our search as we piece together the memories of what our souls once knew. The ancient Egyptians had a concept called Nebuchadnezzar, often translated as Lords of Eternity, but it spoke of cycles of endless repetition. It wasn't about a linear heaven, but about returning to the same cosmic point again and again. They knew that time was not a straight line moving forward, but a circle. This idea wasn't meant to be comforting. It was a warning. Without true awareness, you are destined to repeat the journey, not just in one life, but across cosmic ages. Let's now go deeper and try to understand what this forbidden doctrine truly is and why it was hidden from us. Chapter 1. The Great Forgetting and the First Civilization. To understand the cage, you must first remember the open sky. To understand the loop you find yourself in, you must first remember a time when time itself was not a master, but a guide. This memory does not live in your history books. It does not live in the ruins that your archaeologists catalog. It lives in a place they cannot dig. It lives inside of you. Before your world of steel and light, before the kings and the empires that rose and fell like dust in the wind, there was a civilization. Let us call them the first. When you hear this, your mind may conjure images of grand cities or powerful technologies. Let go of these images. They are the echoes of your current world, not of theirs. The first were not advanced in the way you measure advancement. Their greatness was not in what they built with their hands, but in what they perceived with their entire being. Imagine a human being whose senses were not limited to the five you know. Imagine a consciousness that could feel the subtle currents of reality the way you feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. They were not gods. They were not aliens. They were humans who had not yet forgotten how to listen. They lived in a state of profound connection, not just with the earth beneath their feet, but with the silent, invisible architecture of the cosmos itself. Their science was the science of being. Their technology was consciousness. Where you build a machine to observe a distant star, they would quiet their minds to feel its light not as a particle, but as a note in a grand cosmic symphony. They understood a fundamental truth that your world has almost completely forgotten. Reality is not a collection of objects. It is a vibration, a song. And that song has a rhythm. This rhythm is the key. They knew that time was not a straight arrow, shot from a past you cannot change into a future you cannot predict. That is the illusion born of the great forgetting. They experienced time as it truly is, a circle, a spiral, a great breathing cycle, like the turning of seasons or the drawing of a cosmic breath. The planets orbit, the galaxies spin, the universe expands and contracts. Why would the journey of a soul be any different? For them, these cycles, these loops, were not a prison. They were the very mechanism of growth. They were a sacred classroom. A loop was a chance to revisit a crucial moment, a pivotal choice, a core lesson, but with new wisdom. It was an opportunity to harmonize a dissonance within the self, to perfect a note in the song of one's own soul. Imagine failing a test at school. You would not be banished forever. You would be given the chance to study and take the test again. This was the nature of reality as they knew it. Time was merciful. It was a teacher offering endless opportunities to learn. It was not the warden of a jail. So the question that must be burning within you is, what happened? If this was our nature, if this was the way of the world, why do you now feel like a prisoner? Why does the loop feel like a curse instead of a blessing? The answer is as simple as it is tragic. The first civilization fell, but it was not destroyed by a flood or a meteor or an outside enemy. It was undone from within by a slow, subtle shift in perception. A spiritual plague that infected consciousness itself. We call it the Great Forgetting. It did not happen in a day or a year or even a century. It was a gradual turning away, a slow closing of the inner eye. They began to value the creation over the creator, the map over the territory, the echo over the voice. They stopped feeling the rhythm of the cosmos and instead tried to measure it. They stopped listening to the song and tried to write it down, to own it, to control it. The sacred art of being was slowly replaced by the profane pursuit of knowing. This was the birth of the ego as you now experience it. A separated self, standing apart from the flow of reality, trying to dominate it. It was an act of profound arrogance, born of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of dissolving back into the cosmic whole. This new separated consciousness looked upon the cycles of time not as an opportunity, but as a threat to its own permanence. The ego, by its very nature, desires a straight line. It wants to accumulate, to conquer, to build a legacy that will never fade. The circle, the idea of return, of repetition, is its greatest enemy. And so, they chose to forget. They chose the illusion of the straight line. They began to build a world based on this illusion. A world of past, present, and future. A world of cause and effect, of beginnings and endings. A world where you only get one chance. This choice created a dissonance in the fabric of reality, a deep, jarring discord in the cosmic song. The energy that once flowed gracefully in a spiral of learning was now trapped. The cycles did not stop. They are a fundamental law and cannot be stopped, but their purpose was corrupted. The classroom door was locked from the inside. The merciful teacher became a silent warden. The loop, once a spiral staircase leading ever upward, collapsed into a flat circle, a hamster wheel. This is the world you were born into, a world built upon the foundation of this great forgetting. And the forbidden doctrine, the truth that has been so carefully hidden, is this. You are a direct descendant of the first, not by bloodline, for that is meaningless. You are a descendant by soul. Within the very core of your being, within your spiritual DNA, there is a memory of this lost state of grace. That feeling of being trapped, that gnawing sense that something is deeply wrong with the world, that is not a flaw in your psychology. It is not anxiety or depression in the way your doctors define it. It is a memory. It is the echo of your soul, a prisoner in the machine of your mind, crying out. It remembers a time when it knew how to navigate the currents of time. It remembers freedom. The constant, low-level suffering you feel is the phantom pain of a lost limb, a lost connection to the whole. The moments of déjà vu are not glitches in your brain. They are scratches on the surface of the forgotten record, revealing a groove that has been played countless times before. This is why the doctrine is forbidden. Not because a shadowy group of people banned it from a library. It is forbidden by the collective agreement of a humanity terrified to wake up. To remember this truth is to acknowledge the full scale of our loss. It is to realize that the reality we cherish, the progress we celebrate, the history we learn is all part of an elaborate dream, designed to keep us from noticing the bars of our own cage. To remember is to take the first step toward dismantling that cage. But it is a terrifying step. It means questioning everything you believe to be real. It means turning your back on the world of the straight line and facing the dizzying truth of the circle. The path of the first civilization was not about power over the world, but harmony with it. The Great Forgetting was the choice of power over harmony, and you are living in the consequence of that choice. The loop is its inheritance, but it is not a permanent one, because the memory, however faint, still lives within you. It is the thread that can lead you out of the labyrinth. The first step is to simply acknowledge that the thread exists, to stop calling its tugging a sign of madness, and to start recognizing it for what it is, a call from home. Chapter 2, The Architecture of the Loop, Personal Patterns and Cosmic Echoes. So you have felt the echo of the great forgetting. You recognize the faint, painful memory of a freedom you have lost. Now, we must look at the structure of the cage itself, for it is not a simple box. The loop you experience is a masterfully crafted piece of architecture built specifically for you. It is both your prison and your potential salvation. Do not think of the loop as an external force that happens to you. This is the first and most critical illusion to discard. The loop is a mirror. The repeating patterns in your life, the job you keep losing, the type of partner who always betrays you, the self-sabotage that arises just when you are close to success, these are not random misfortunes. They are reflections of an unhealed, unresolved energy within you. The universe is not punishing you. It is simply showing you, with perfect and relentless consistency, the parts of yourself you have refused to look at. Every soul sings a certain song, a unique energetic signature. This song is composed of all your beliefs, traumas, joys, and fears from countless experiences. When a part of that song is out of tune, a note of unworthiness, a chord of abandonment, a rhythm of fear, the law of the loop, the great cosmic echo, brings you experiences that match that dissonance. It brings you the conductor who demands you play that broken note again. It brings you the audience that only hears your flaws. This is what some ancient traditions called soul contracts, though the term can be misleading. It is not a contract you signed with a pen. It is an energetic agreement. Before entering this life into this plane of forgetting, your deeper self recognized these dissonances. It knew that the only way to heal them was to face them. So it set up a curriculum. It designed a series of tests. The loop is that curriculum, presenting you with the same fundamental problem in different forms until you learn the lesson. Your soul did not choose to suffer, it chose to learn. The suffering is merely a byproduct of your resistance to the lesson. And what of the other people in your loops? The difficult boss, the unloving parent, the partner who leaves. It is the easiest thing in the world to see them as the source of your pain, to cast them as the villain in your story. But this is also part of the illusion. They are not the cause. They are the messengers. Every person you interact with is also a soul singing their own song, living within their own loops. When your dissonance meets theirs, you create a powerful, shared reality. They are playing a role for you, and you are playing one for them. They are a mirror showing you your own unresolved anger. You are a mirror showing them their own inability to connect. To hate them, to blame them, is to get angry at your own reflection in the water. It changes nothing. The only way to change the reflection is to change the self. When you finally heal the part of you that attracts that experience, the messenger will no longer be needed. They will either change their behavior, or they will simply drift out of your life, their contract fulfilled. The loop does not break because they change. It breaks because you do. But this architecture has another level. Your personal loop, as unique as it is not isolated. It is a small gear turning inside a much larger one. It is nested within the collective loops of humanity. The great cycles of history, of war and peace, of tyranny and revolution, of spiritual awakening and materialistic slumber, these are the larger patterns that shape the context of your personal struggle. Think of the recurring cycles of financial collapse, where greed and fear reach a crescendo and the system resets. Think of the endless rhythm of conflict, where one generation's enemy becomes the next generation's ally against a new foe. These are the macro loops, powered by the collective dissonance of all of humanity. You are living within these echoes too. Your personal struggle with scarcity is a small note in the grand symphony of collective lack. Your personal feelings of division are a fractal of the global consciousness of us versus them. To see this is to understand that your personal work is not just personal. When you break a pattern within yourself, you are not just freeing yourself. You are introducing a new, harmonious note into the collective song. You are subtly changing the architecture of the entire human loop. Your healing is a gift to the world. It is the most profound activism there is. So how do you begin to identify the precise architecture of your own loop? The details will distract you. You have had 5 different jobs, but you must look deeper. You have had 3 different partners, but you must look past their faces. The key is not the what, but the how. How did it feel? Strip away the story. What is the core emotional signature that repeats? Is it the feeling of being invisible and unheard? Is it the sharp sting of betrayal? Is it the dull ache of being abandoned? Is it the suffocating feeling of being controlled? Find that core feeling. That is the signature of your loop. That feeling is the key that fits the lock of your prison. Follow it. Do not run from it. Ask yourself, where have I felt this exact feeling before? Follow the thread back through your life. You will see the pattern emerge with shocking clarity. And once you see it, do not despair. The pain of the loop is not a sign of your failure. It is a sign that you are ready. The pain is the alarm clock, ringing louder and louder, begging you to wake up. The prison only becomes truly unbearable when the soul has gathered enough strength to finally break the walls. The friction of the loop is what creates the fire of transformation. Embrace it. The fact that you are listening to these words, that they resonate within you, means the great forgetting is starting to fade. The memory is stirring. The architect of your prison is also you, and you still hold the blueprints for your own liberation. Chapter 3. Breaking the Cycle. The Forgotten Art of Conscious Remembrance. You now understand the origin of the loops in the Great Forgetting. You have seen the architecture of your personal prison, how it mirrors your inner world and echoes the cycles of the cosmos. And now you stand before the final, most important question: how do I get out? What is the key that unlocks the door? The answer is both profoundly simple and the most difficult work you will ever undertake. The key is not a thing you find, a word you speak, or a ritual you perform. The key is a shift in the very foundation of your being. You do not break the loop. You dissolve it. Your first instinct, when you feel the familiar pain of the loop beginning again, is to fight. It is the instinct of the ego, the separated self. You want to push back, to resist, to scream, "Not this time," to force a different outcome. You brace for impact. You build your walls higher. You try to outsmart the pattern. This struggle, this resistance, is the very fuel that the loop consumes. It feeds on your energy, on your desperation, on your fight. The more you struggle against the reflection in the mirror, the more solid it appears. The first step, then, is the ultimate paradox. You must surrender. Surrender does not mean defeat. It is not giving up or letting the pattern win. It is the highest form of wisdom. It is the conscious cessation of resistance to what is. It is to stand still in the eye of the storm and to let the winds of the old energy howl around you, knowing they cannot touch the core of you. It is to say, "I see you, I feel you, I will not fight you anymore." In this act of non-resistance, you starve the pattern of its power source. For the first time, you are not a participant in the drama. You are something else entirely. This leads to the first practical art you must cultivate: the sacred pause. The loop functions because it is automatic. It is an unconscious reaction. The stimulus appears, the critical comment, the act of betrayal, the lonely silence, and your programming fires instantly. Anger, fear, shame, shutting down. There is no space between the spark and the explosion. Your work is to create that space. When you feel the signature emotion of your loop beginning to rise within you, that familiar tightness in your chest, that heat in your face, that sinking feeling in your stomach, your only job in that moment is to pause, just for a second, before you speak, before you act, before you retreat into your mind. Pause, take one conscious breath. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the air on your skin. In this single second of deliberate stillness, you have performed a miracle. You have interrupted a program that has been running for your entire life, perhaps for lifetimes. You have stepped off the hamster wheel, if only for an instant. In that sacred pause, freedom is born. In the space created by that pause, you must practice the second art. You must become the watcher. This is the essence of what the first civilization knew. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the silent, still awareness behind your thoughts and emotions. The watcher, the silent observer. In that pause, you shift your identity. Instead of being the anger, you observe the anger. You look at it with a neutral curiosity. "Ah," the watcher says, "there is the energy of anger. I feel it as heat in my chest. I see thoughts of injustice attached to it. How interesting." You do not judge it. You do not try to suppress it. You do not identify with it. You simply witness it, like watching a dark cloud move across the sky. The cloud is not the sky. The anger is not you. This is not an intellectual exercise. It is a profound shift in consciousness. At first, it will feel forced. The emotion will try to pull you back in, to convince you that it is you, that its cause is righteous and its expression is necessary. The ego will scream that you are being passive, that you are letting someone get away with something. But you must hold your ground as the watcher. By observing the energy without becoming it, you allow it to move through you and out of you, instead of getting stuck within you, empowering the next revolution of the loop. Now, from this state of a paused, watchful presence, you engage in the third and most crucial art, conscious remembrance. This is the forbidden doctrine in practice. This is the act that directly dismantles the machinery of the loop. As the watcher, you look upon the situation and you consciously remember. You speak to yourself silently in the chambers of your own mind. You say, I remember this. This is the loop. This feeling of being abandoned is the old pattern. The person in front of me is a messenger, here to help me see this pattern. This is not new. This is the test. This is the classroom. By naming it, you strip it of its hypnotic power. A situation only has power over you when you believe it is real, unique, and happening for the first time. When you consciously remember that you have been here 100 times before, the entire scene changes. It transforms from a terrifying, personal crisis into an impersonal, repeating energetic event. You are no longer the victim in a drama. You are the scientist observing a recurring phenomenon. The fear loses its grip because you know the script. You know how this play is supposed to end, and now you can choose to write a different ending. This leads to the fourth art, the micro-choice. The loop is not broken by a single heroic act. It is not shattered by you suddenly quitting your job or leaving your family or making a grand, dramatic speech. This is the fantasy of the ego. The loop is dissolved by 1,000 tiny choices, 1,000 moments of quiet courage. After you have paused, watched, and remembered, you are standing at a fork in the road. The old, deeply carved path of your reaction is on one side. On the other is a new path, overgrown and barely visible. Your job is to take one single step onto that new path. This is the micro-choice. If your pattern is to lash out in anger, the micro-choice is to remain silent and hold the gaze of the watcher. Or perhaps it is to say, in a calm voice, I need a moment to process this. If your pattern is to fawn and people-please out of a fear of rejection, the micro-choice is to say, thank you, I will have to think about that, instead of an automatic. Yes, if your pattern is to shut down and retreat into silence, the micro-choice is to ask one simple, open question. This new choice will feel terrifying. It will feel unnatural, wrong, and dangerous. Your entire nervous system will scream at you to go back to the familiar reaction. This is the sign that you are doing it right. You are consciously acting against your programming. You are carving a new groove in your being. You are telling the universe, through your action, that you are no longer available for this lesson. You are choosing to graduate. Finally, there is the fifth art, integrating the echo. After you make a new choice, the loop does not simply vanish in a puff of smoke. It will test your resolve. The universe will want to know if you are serious. This is the echo. The other person may react with confusion or anger to your new response, trying to pull you back into the old dance. Your own mind will flood you with doubt and guilt in the hours and days that follow. You should have said something, it will whisper. You were too harsh, it will accuse. This is the most delicate part of the process. You must meet these echoes with compassion for yourself. You are like a patient learning to walk again after a long illness. Your first steps will be clumsy, you will stumble, you will not be perfect. The goal is not perfection, but persistence. Every single time you choose the new path, no matter how small the choice, you weaken the energetic structure of the old loop. You are building a new reality, one choice at a time. You are walking a new path through the forest of your soul. At first it is difficult, hacking through the undergrowth, but with each journey the path becomes clearer, wider, and easier to walk, until one day it becomes the new default. It becomes the new you. This five-fold path, surrender, pause, watch, remember, choose, is the lost art of the first. This is how they navigated the great cycles with grace and wisdom. This is not psychology. This is physics. This is the science of consciousness. By engaging in this work, you are doing something far more profound than simply improving your own life. You are becoming a conscious anchor for a forgotten truth. You are becoming a harmonizing frequency in a world of dissonance. You are participating in a very real way in the great remembrance. You are mending the tear in the fabric of reality that began with the first forgetting. Your personal liberation is a beacon for all of humanity. It is a quiet revolution, fought not on a battlefield, but in the sacred stillness of your own heart. And it is the only revolution that will ever truly matter. We have journeyed far. We have walked through the shadows of the great forgetting, examined the intricate architecture of your personal loop, and illuminated the forgotten art of breaking the cycle. And now as we stand here, your mind, conditioned by the world you live in, may be asking for a solution, a final answer, a 5-step plan to guarantee a life without loops. That desire for a simple, final solution is the last echo of the old programming. It is the voice of the ego that wants a map it can memorize, a fortress it can build to feel safe forever. But the purpose of this journey was never to give you another map to follow. It was to help you remember that you are your own cartographer. The solution is not a destination you arrive at. It is a new way of walking. What we have truly been discussing is a fundamental shift from knowing to remembering. Your world is obsessed with knowing. It collects facts, data, and information. Your mind knows you're in a loop. It can analyze it, label it, and tell you the story of why it exists. But knowing a thing and understanding it are two vastly different universes. You can know every ingredient in a loaf of bread, but that is not the same as tasting it. The ego knows. The soul remembers. Remembering is not an act of the intellect. It is an experience of the body and the spirit. It is the cellular recognition of a truth you have always carried. When you are in the sacred pause, observing the rising energy of a pattern, and you consciously think, I remember this, you are bypassing the analytical mind. You are activating a deeper intelligence. It is the difference between reading a book about love and feeling love swell in your chest. Knowing is a copy. Remembering is the original. The true solution, then, is to live your life from this place of remembrance. It is to fundamentally change your perspective on everything you experience. The pain in your life is no longer a punishment to be avoided. It is a compass, its needle pointing directly to the part of you that needs healing and attention. You learn to turn towards the pain with curiosity, not away from it with fear. The other people in your life are no longer adversaries or saviors. They are reflections. The person who angers you is showing you your own unhealed anger. The person who abandons you is showing you the part of yourself that you have abandoned. They are sacred mirrors, offering you the priceless gift of self-knowledge. You learn to thank them silently for the lesson they are delivering. And life itself is no longer a problem to be solved or a struggle to be won. It becomes a curriculum perfectly designed for the evolution of your soul. Every event, every challenge, every joy is a lesson. There are no mistakes, only lessons. There are no wrong turns, only detours that teach you something new about the map. When you live this way, the desperate need for the loops to end simply falls away. You no longer fear the test because you have realized you are in a school. This does not mean you will achieve a state of permanent, unshakable bliss. That is the promise of the ego's heaven. You are still human. You live in a world steeped in the great forgetting. Echoes of old loops may still appear. The difference is that you will no longer be their prisoner. You will recognize them instantly, the way you recognize a familiar song on the radio. You will feel the old energy begin to rise and you will not panic. You will greet it with the calm neutrality of the watcher. Ah, you will say to yourself, hello, old friend. I see you. Thank you for the reminder to return to my center. The loop will have lost its teeth. It will no longer be a terrifying monster that devours you for weeks or months. It will be a momentary cloud passing before the sun of your awareness, its shadow a gentle reminder of the light that is always present. This is freedom, not the absence of challenges, but the absolute unshakable knowledge that nothing can touch the core of who you are. As this conversation comes to a close, let this truth settle into your bones. You are not alone in this. You have never been alone. When you felt lost in the depths of your pattern, trapped and isolated, you were simply feeling the central illusion of the great forgetting, the illusion of separation. You are not alone because your struggle is the human struggle. The person next to you, the stranger on the street, the people you see as so different from you, they are all walking through their own loops, wrestling with their own shadows. They are all singing their own note in this dissonant, beautiful human song. Your journey is theirs, and theirs is yours. You are not alone because the silent, ever-present watcher within you has never left your side. It is the part of you that has witnessed every tear, every triumph, every moment of despair, all without judgment. It is the constant, loving presence that you are now learning to identify with. It is your true home, the sanctuary you can retreat to at any moment. And you are not alone because others, like you, are beginning to awaken. All around the world, souls are stirring. They are feeling the pull of remembrance, seeking conversations like this one, and starting the quiet, courageous work of healing their own loops. You are part of a great silent turning of the tide. Your inner truth, that feeling you have that there is more to this life, is profoundly important. In a world that screams for your conformity, your inner voice is your anchor to the real. It is the golden thread that connects you directly back to the wisdom of the first. To trust it, to honor it, to allow it to guide your choices is the most revolutionary act you can engage in. And if your path forward feels difficult, if the darkness returns at times, remember this: it is all part of the path. The confusion is not a sign you are lost. It is a sign that the old map is dissolving. The pain is not a sign that you are failing. It is the feeling of old energies being released from your body. Do not curse the crucible. It is the sacred fire that turns the lead of your suffering into the gold of your awareness. Every step, especially the hardest ones, is a step toward home. The story you have been telling yourself about your life, about your pain, about who you are, has been playing on a loop. We have now pressed the pause button. We have looked behind the curtain. The machinery has been exposed. The voice of the old story is beginning to fade. And so the final question is not from me to you. It is from you to yourself. In the quiet space that follows, what do you hear when you stop listening to the fear? Let the answer not be a thought. Let it not be a word. Let it be a feeling, a recognition. The search you have been on is over. The remembrance has begun.